All right, what you're looking at is fusion here, the act of fusion. We're going to read a little bit about that. Go ahead and join me on page 434 in your science textbook. What are renewable resources? Renewable resources are those that can be replenished. Resources such as solar energy, trees, wind, water, fusion, and biomass are considered renewable. However, some resources are not completely renewable because of the time needed to replace them. Truly renewable energy sources include geothermal energy, fusion, solar energy, wind, and water. Unlike the use of trees or biomass, these types of energy are fully renewable because there's no time gap between using them and replacing them. Geothermal energy, the energy produced from the heat below Earth's surface, is almost inexhaustible due to the enormous reserves of heat below Earth's surface. However, there are very few places where geothermal energy can be used. Nuclear fusion offers the potential for an almost unlimited source of energy. Fusion is the process of merging nuclei with smaller masses to make a nucleus with a larger mass. This process uses special forms of hydrogen called deuterium. You can see that in the picture, deuterium, right up here. Okay, continuing on page 435. The tritium nuclear fusion is similar to the reaction that produces the energy given off by the sun and other stars. Scientists around the world are working on the development of fusion reactors that they hope will become practical and cost efficient. Solar energy, wind, and water are natural resources that are harvested for energy use. Solar panels on buildings collect the sun's energy and use it to provide heat and electricity. Wind is collected through a turbine and converted into electricity. Hydroelectric power, which harnesses the force of falling or running water, is also converted into electricity. Some resources, such as trees, biomass, organic matter, such as plants and animal waste, are not always fully renewable because of the amount of time needed to replace them. Trees that are cut down for construction or fuel can be replaced with new trees. However, they can be replaced only if the rate at which they are used does not exceed the time needed for regrowth. Too often, when forests are cleared, the trees cannot be replaced quickly enough to cope with demand. Biomass conversion is a method for changing both plant and animal remains into high-quality fuels such as ethanol. Land and soil are needed to grow the plants used in the conversion. However, too much cultivation can damage the land and soil and lead to habitat destruction, reducing the supply of biomass. Okay, turning the page. Page 436. How is hydroelectric power dependent on solar energy? Hydroelectric power is a renewable energy resource generated by the force of falling or running water. Hydroelectric power demands on the water cycle. As the sun warms water on Earth's surface, the heat causes water to evaporate or turn into water vapor. As the water vapor rises into the atmosphere, it cools and condenses. In time, the water falls back to Earth in the form of precipitation, adding to Earth's rivers, lakes, and oceans. Water flowing from streams or rivers feeds hydroelectric plants. Water in reservoirs, pipelines, or canals can also be used for hydroelectric power. Dams are often built to hold back water, creating large reservoirs. The dam can be opened and closed to control the flow of water. All of these water sources depend on precipitation to maintain their levels. Okay, continuing on page 437. Gravity pulls water down through pipes into the power plant. There, the mechanical energy of moving water spins the blades of turbines. The spinning turbines produce electricity in generators. There are advantages to hydroelectric power. It is inexpensive and renewable. Because it relies on water and gravity, because nothing is burned, it does not cause air pollution like the burning of fossil fuels. However, hydroelectric power also has disadvantages. There are only a limited number of locations where hydroelectric plants can be built. Building a dam to supply water to a power plant can alter the environment by flooding environmentally important areas. The construction of dams also affects river systems. A dam may change the cycle of annual flooding, which replenishes sediment deposits in floodplains. Such change can harm plant and animal species in the area. Okay, turning the page 438. How can energy resources be conserved? Conservation is using natural resources wisely by limiting their use to times of need. If resources are used up too quickly, people will not have as many options for energy sources. Conservation of non-renewable resources is especially important. There are many ways that each individual can conserve resources. Choosing to walk or ride a bike instead of riding in a car saves energy. Turning out lights and turning off electrical appliances when they are not in use also saves energy. Recycling, the creation of new products by the reuse of materials that would otherwise be treated as waste, is another way to decrease the demand on Earth's natural resources. Usually, less energy is required to recycle materials than to produce them from raw materials. By recycling, people can reduce the number of things that they throw away. Reusing items instead of throwing them away also helps to conserve resources. Conservation, recycling, and reuse are all strategies for saving natural resources. All right, thanks for listening and following along. Continue on your science lesson.